Hi guys, and welcome to Gas City Gaming's Warhammer 40k 8th edition previews. In this video we'll be taking a look at that. First things first though, if you've tuned in on the channel regularly, you know I usually put up videos every other day, so I'm bringing up 2 days worth of previews. Instead I'm doing today right after yesterday's video for a couple reasons. One, because this is pretty big, this is going to take a little while, and my work schedule doesn't let me film and put anything up tomorrow. So mostly because of that, but also because we've been talking about this for a little bit. So first things first, this is our new data sheet for, in this case, Rubric Marines, but this is kind of the layout that all of our data sheets will have going forward. I was just going to go over a couple of the points they had before we really go over this guy in detail. A unit's rules will all be on the data sheet. Well, almost all. We'll get to that in a minute. So if you can look at here, you have the name, the stat line, the weapons, the abilities, warrior options, all unit types, like it's Psychers for the Sergeant, for the Rubric Marines, for the Aspiring Sorcerer, in the Rubric Marines. So all the rules will be on its data sheet right there. Universal special rules in general are out, are gone, are no more. So there's no more bringing a couple codexes in your main rule book to a game in order to just play. All the rules for a Rubric Marine, even if they aren't all on the specific data sheet for it, will all be in the same book. And that'll be really nice going forward. All the rules for a unit will appear on its data sheet. Well, all the general rules. Basically, if it will act differently than its stat line says, it'll be pointed out in there. The rules for the weapons that they most commonly use will be in there as well. So we have, these are maybe all the weapons Rubric Marine can use, but for the tactical squad, for example, they can use and switch out so many different weapons. They won't have all of the weapons detailed on there, just the most commonly used ones. The rest will be elsewhere in the codex. Now, we'll go over this a little bit. In the top left-hand corner there, the little triangle, that is going to be your identifier for what battlefield role they will fill. In this case, it's a unit of troops. So, the Rubric Marines in an army of 1,000 Suns will be able to use as troops, or in a detachment of 1,000 Suns would be troop choice, whereas in a detachment of a Black Legion, say for example, you can still use them, but they'll be an elite choice in that case, in that detachment of Black Legion. You can still bring them, but they'll be an elite choice in that army. The power level, so it says, you see it says in the top right corner, right beside our troop symbol, it says 8 power. If you're wondering with that, that's not a new system for points. That's like how we've talked about, they're going to have three ways to play, narratively and just open play. The power level points are something to kind of just balance that. If you and your friend just want to play a game and you don't want to be super competitive, you don't want to say, okay, we're at 1750 points or 1500 points, you can say, okay, power level 50, go. And so you can just pick and choose from there. You don't have to really point by point cost everything. So I kind of like that. I was a little bit worried at first when I saw this. I'm like, there's no points cost on this sheet. Where is that? Is it 8 points? Are they redoing the point system altogether? No, that's just for their narrative play and their open play. Just something to quick look at, bounce really easily. Not, calculator. Oh, I'm at 1,500 point game. I'm at 1480. What else can I put? What else can I do? So this is just a little bit easier for those narrative and open play games to do that. The unit profile, we'll go through that now in detail. We'll just kind of go through this now from the top to bottom and talk about all the parts in a little bit more detail. So that's why I said this is going to be a little bit longer video, even though it's just 1 day's kind of previews. So the Rubric Marine can move 5 inches, has a weapon skill hitting on 3+, a ballistic skill hits on 3+, is strength 4, toughness 4, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 7, and a save of 3+. So pretty normal, a little bit slower, 1 inch slower than a regular tactical Marines, but other than that, pretty much the same. The Aspiring Sorcerer can move 6 inches, so his model, he can start at the back of the group and try working his way forward if he wants to. Again, hits on 3s in close combat and ranged. Strength 4, toughness 4, 1 wound, 2 attacks, like most, sergeant-esque characters, gets the extra attack and extra leadership of 8, and has a 3+ save on his own. So this seems pretty standard, right? So not a lot changed from there, other than, of course, we've gotten our movement stat and dropped our initiative stat, changing from 7th edition. We'll go into kind of the little description it has below that. So like we've seen these kinds of descriptions before. Okay, you can bring 5 more, and for every 5 you can bring a special weapon, etc., etc. We've seen that before, but we'll go over this. This unit contains 1 Aspiring Sorcerer and 4 Rubric Marines. It can include up to 5 additional Rubric Marines So if you're doing the power rating for your games, then that adds 6 to their power rating. Up to 10 additional Rubric Marines, additional, so in addition to the original 5, power rating plus 12, or up to 15 additional Rubric Marines, which adds 18 on the power rating. Each Rubric Marine is armed with an Inferno bolt gun. We'll go over the weapons in a sec. The Aspiring Sorcerer is armed with a Force Stave and an Inferno bolt pistol. So that's your bare bones as it comes squad of Rubric Marines, and however big you want to build them. The war gear, so first we'll go over the Inferno bolt pistol. Previously, the Inferno weapons were all AP3, so negating regular Marines armor, which was definitely a big thing. The Inferno weapons now have a AP modifier of -2, so they turn 3-up saves into 5-ups. So still negating quite a bit. The pistol has a range of 12, is type pistol 1, is strength 4, like you said, a -2 armor modifier, and does 1 damage. The Inferno bolt gun is 24-inch range, rapid fire 1, so at 12 inches or closer, it will fire 2 shots. It is strength 4, armor modifier of -2, and does 1 damage. The Soul Reaper cannon has a 24-inch range, is heavy 4, our new heavy rules being, we'll get to it in a sec, don't read ahead of me. Our new heavy rules, of course, being they can move, but just have a -1 hit modifier. We'll see how that changes in a second, though. It is strength 5, has a -3 armor modifier, so turns a 3-up save into a 6-up save, and does 1 damage apiece per unsaved wounds. The Warplane Pistols get interesting. Like all the other flame old but would have been flame template weapons, these will now hit automatically as long as you're within range, in this case 6 inches. It is a Warplane Pistol, so it's a pistol D6, so it hits D6 times. It is strength 3, a little harder to wound, but it has a -2 armor modifier and has 1 damage, so still pretty decent there. You have a Warp Flamer, so regular handheld flamer. Has an 8-inch range, is assault weapon D6. Strength 4, -2 armor modifier, and a damage of 1 per unsaved wound. We'll then move on to our melee weapons. So these are kind of cool because these are the ones that can carry over a little bit, these force weapons. So Force Axe is, of course, melee weapon, has a +1 strength, so its user gets +1 to his strength characteristic, has a -2 armor modifier, and does D3 damage per unsaved wound. Force Stave is melee weapon, has +2 strength, a -1 armor modifier, and does D3 damage per unsaved wound. A Force Sword is a melee weapon. Its strength is just user, but it has a -3 armor modifier, so it turns, just like our Soul Reaper cannon, turns a 3-up save into a 6-up, and does D3 damage per unsaved wound again as well. Well, so for these guys, that is all they can use. But when, like I said, when we get into tactical squads that are really kind of Swiss Army knives, can do a bunch of different things depending on how you kit them out, they won't be able to list all of their things on their unit card or on their data sheet. One thing I do like, well, I'll mention this now because I'm thinking about it. One thing that I do like that they've done in Age of Sigmar compared to this, they've actually printed cards. I've got one here. They've actually printed cards that is this. So if I want to bring a unit of Rubric Marines, I don't even have to bring my codex. I can just bring the card. Okay, here's my Rubric card, here's my those guys card, here's my Sorcerer card, and there's my Magnus the Red card. Okay, I have 4 cards. I can play a game of Warhammer 40k with these 4 unit cards. That's awesome. Instead of flipping through codex, flipping through rulebook, flipping through other codex. Oh my goodness, imagine having just 4, like, decent cardstock cards with you and playing a game with just those and some dice and your models. Yes, please. I'm okay with that. So we'll get down to our warrior options there. The Aspiring Sorcerer may replace his Force Stave with a Force Axe or Force Sword. The Aspiring Sorcerer may replace his Inferno Bolt Pistol with a Warplane Pistol. Any Rubric Marine may replace his Inferno Bolt Gun with a Warp Flamer. Any Rubric Marine. Any. So you can have a squad, all 4, with their Warp Flamers. Squad of 5 by default, so you can have all 4 bring Warp Flamers if you like. For every 10 models in the unit, 1 Rubric Marine may replace his Inferno Bolt Gun with a Soul Reaper cannon, and 1 Rubric Marine may take an Icon of Flame. As far as, we don't know the points cost, as far as, you know, traditional points cost of what the Rubric Marines are going to be, and especially in scale to everything else yet. That's not on here, but I like, what I'm thinking is bring a squad of 10 of these guys, 1 Soul Reaper cannon, possibly 2 or 3 flamers, the rest have the bolt guns, and the nice thing is, you can keep the flamers a little further back now, like, because they can now that you don't have to lay that template down and miss your guys with it, you can't cross over your own model with the flamer template, you can keep them behind a front line of screening Inferno bolt guns, get a little closer to guy, lay down your 3 flamers on top of them, hit 3d6 times, and hopefully do a lot of damage that way. That could be pretty devastating, I think. It's just an interesting little way to try them out. The abilities, so they have Death to the False Emperor. Now this is, like I said, we don't have all the universal special rules are gone. But Death to the False Emperor is something that's army-wide or faction-wide. That kind of rule will be elsewhere in the Codex. A rule that isn't specific to these Rubric Marines, like Death to the False Emperor, will be explained elsewhere in the Codex. I'm guessing it's going to be something pretty big throughout all the Chaos armies. So it'll be interesting to see what it is. We don't know for sure, but it'll be interesting to see when we do know what that is. It'll be interesting to see. So again, the unit's abilities that are specific to it, we have All is Dust. Add 1 to the saving throws for Rubric Marines if the attack has a damage characteristic of 1. So a lot of your just basic bolter weapons, things like that, all those damage 1 that we see in that column, you get a 2-up save. You know, before that's added on to any additional modifiers. But stock, you get a 2-up save. So bolters don't have any AP value or negative armor modifiers. So their 3-up save, they're shooting at your Rubric Marines with their bolters, you get a flat 2-up save against it. That seems pretty good. In addition, the -1 modifier to hit rolls for moving and shooting with heavy weapons does not apply to Rubric Marines. As far as heavy weapons are concerned, they essentially have Relentless. So that Soul Reaper cannon hits on 3s with your Rubric Marines, which is really nice. They also have Favorite of Tzeentch. All models in this unit have a 5+ Invulnerable Save. Now, what I don't know, what I'm thinking if I had to guess, we haven't had this explained, at least I haven't seen it yet anyway, is that, are we going to start stacking saves? Like we have in our stat line there, it says they have a 3-up save. Is that going to be 3-up, and then if I fail that, I get my invul save? I said, as of filming this I haven't heard one way or another, but they keep talking about invulnerable saves. So is that going to be in addition to, or I can't go below a 5-up save? Like if somebody has -3 armor modifier to put me to a 6-up, can I, oh, he has an invul save of mine of 5. So is it, okay, you can never go below a 5-up armor save. Like I can't go to 6-up. Or is it going to be, I take my regular armor save, and if I fail that, then I also get an invuln save. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said, as of filming this, I haven't heard what they're going to do, but it's going to be interesting to see which way they're going to go with the invul saves. So we'll move on to Psychic powers. So the Aspiring Sorcerer is a Psyker, so that's in there. An Aspiring Sorcerer can attempt to manifest 1 Psychic power in each friendly Psychic phase, and attempt to deny 1 Psychic power in each enemy Psychic phase. He knows the Smite Psychic power. When an Aspiring Sorcerer manifests the Smite Psychic power, he inflicts 1 mortal wound instead of D3, or D3 mortal wounds instead of D6, if the Psychic test is 10 or more. So, we haven't had a lot, everything anyway, explained to us about Psychers and how they'll work as far as your powers and things. If the Smite power, if the powered down Smite is going to be the only power that sorcerer knows, I'm not sure how I feel about that, because these guys are supposed to be really, everybody's a Psyker essentially in the Thousand Suns if you follow the fluff and stuff. I know I haven't gotten a lot into that, but everybody's at least a little bit lambently psychic, right? So the Aspiring Sorcerer, in my opinion, should be able to know more than his 1 powered down default power. At least give him regular Smite or something, right? Because you still have to be able to cast it, pass the casting test roll, and have it not denied by your enemy as well, in order for it to go off. And even then you roll a D3, maybe you only do 1 damage. In this case, it does 1, no more. And if you do the superpowered version of it, which is if you roll 10 or more on your 2d6 test, you only do D3 damage instead of D6, so it's powered down. I can see how they were maybe afraid of things being too powerful and powered down because of that, but I don't know. But like I said, with the Aspiring Sorcerer, am I going to take 1 power in addition to Smite? Can I do that? Or is it just Smite and that's all he knows and done? Do you guys think that's a good idea? That's all the only thing this Aspiring Sorcerer should know? Or do you think you should be able to take 1 power and Smite? Is that just giving us that detail? Again, as of filming of this, I haven't heard if that's been specified, but we shall see. Faction keywords. Now, like we've talked about in a few other videos, these faction keywords, like in our character video, a character's bubble ability, like I said, they can't join units anymore, independent characters can't. So they give a bubble ability to things that share a similar faction keyword. So the faction keywords for our Rubric Marines are several. So there's Chaos, Tzeentch, Heretic Astartes, or Thousand Suns. So anything that has a Chaos special word, so I'm guessing probably demons would care about whether they're in a bubble. Anything that says that is Tzeentch, so Demons of Tzeentch, or possibly other Thousand Suns units. Heretic Astartes, so Black Legion, maybe Death Guard, who knows, and Thousand Suns. So when they're in the army of other Thousand Suns, they care as well. So they've slipped a lot of faction keywords onto some of these, and while certainly flavorful, I just hope it doesn't get too powerful where, you know, I have a bunch of people handing their abilities to everyone else. Like, if I can bring a unit from each of the, you know, of a Khorne Marine unit, Noise Marines, Rubric Marines, and Plague Marines, and they all give things to each other and just walk them around the field in this little chaosy bubble of goodness, that seems really good. And of course, you know, moving on to from there, going to regular Space Marines and, you know, Thousand Suns, Space Wolves marching around with Blood Angels, marching around with somebody with Ultramarines, and again giving a little bubble of noble goodness around as they march around the table together. Or Eldar, same thing with all the Eldar factions giving stuff away to each other. So hopefully that's good without being overpowered, but again, the spiky gamers, the really super competitive gamers, can definitely see them possibly taking advantage of that if there's a way to. Again, with all the amount of playtesting they're doing, hopefully they're kind of fixing that out and not having as much of that, but we shall see. The other keywords at the bottom of the datasheet are Infantry, Psyker, and Rubric Marines. So Infantry, for example, we've heard about in another video where Infantry will be the only ones able to use certain kinds of cover. Maybe going forward, certain abilities will only affect infantry. Certain abilities maybe also only affect psychers, like that's its other keyword, and maybe certain things will only affect other Rubric Marines. Maybe there's a character in Thousand Suns that gives other abilities to units that have the keyword Rubric Marines only. So that's why we'd have that. But I like keywords. It's just, like I said, hopefully they don't get too ridiculous with the abilities they let share from each other. They're usually alright, from what I've seen from Age of Sigmar anyway, but hopefully nobody gets too crazy and spiky with them. But we shall see. So this was kind of our spoiler for today, guys. Like I said, normally I do videos every 2 days, but going forward it's going to be from today, 2 days. So I'm recording this and putting this up on a Thursday, so next video is going to be on Saturday, Tuesday, etc. Also, I want to announce starting, so the first video should come out Monday, our 40k lore. A number of people who are on this channel who are watching are maybe newer to 40k. I know some of the people are, because I know them personally. So what I want to start doing for them, maybe for the more experienced players too, it never hurts to listen about lore. That's one of the reasons I started playing the game, is to... I'm going to start, the first few videos are basically going to be a timeline of the 40k universe, from the beginning of time in the 40k universe up to present times, and just an overview, and then going forward we're going to break them down into certain themes and timelines following certain factions or certain units, or having a theme, like maybe all the Chaos Gods do them, or something like that. But that's after we finish the first video. And what I'm going to do is that we're going to alternate. So starting this first Monday, there's going to be a lore video coming out. Then Tuesday, there will be a preview video like this one. Wednesday, lore video. Thursday, preview video. Friday, lore. Saturday, preview. And go forward like that from now on. Sundays will probably be taking off. No videos on Sundays, because that's when I'll be filming the lore ones, and then just releasing them throughout the week. And again, thank you guys so much for listening. So I want to pay a little bit of that back to you guys. So don't forget to comment and subscribe if you want to be entered in our Warhammer 40k 8th edition giveaway, which minimum will be giving away a 40k 8th edition core rulebook, and hopefully can do a little bit more depending on how many views and all of that other fun stuff we get as well. So like, share, subscribe. All that you do, if that means, is it helps me out, and it possibly means more prizes for you as well. So if you've subscribed and your subscriptions are set to private, that means I can't see if you subscribe sometimes. So uncheck that, so I can see, because you need to have commented on any video, and subscribed in order to be entered in that draw. So don't forget about that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and hanging out with me today. I had tons of fun talking about the new 40k datasheets. Hope you guys have an awesome rest of your day. And remember, The Emperor protects.